On? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I want to say hello to everybody. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Today I am honored to have the chance to speak to somebody that I just admire and respect so much that I know millions of people feel the same way. And her name is Danielle Leslie, and Danielle is an extraordinary entrepreneur. She is probably, in my view, the just the leader in terms of showing people how to create courses, and she's done extremely well in that process. And she's also just a really cool person. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Danielle. How you doing today, sister?
I'm doing so great. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this. I remember my first chance getting to connect with you, and I was like, "Wow, he's an incredible human." Every chance, every conversation we share is amazing. So, just like, thank you for being a vessel.
Oh, well, vice versa, vice versa. My wife, when you and I started talking, I was telling my wife about some of the things we talked about, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, she's a kindred spirit," and you have this great insight into so many things. And you and I were just talking. I think this is a natural conversation. So I want to start with what we were just talking about before. You said you're in Brooklyn, and I mentioned to you that I'd gone to New York this weekend. I took my wife and our three kids to see Beetlejuice on Broadway, and then we started talking about Hamilton, which,
Yeah.
by the way, our family loves it. We've seen it twice. That's how much we saw
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah, we saw it in New York, and then we saw it in Chicago. And you had this interesting breakdown of the characters in Hamilton. Can you do you mind repeating some of that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So Hamilton, absolute favorite. When the question came up one time, what's your favorite piece of art? And I remember thinking it's Hamilton. And I think it's because I relate so much to the characters. So yeah, what I was sharing is I thought about the breakdown of the main characters. So you have Hamilton, who comes from, nothing, so to speak. Both of his parents deceased, first generation in the States. And his quintessential character defining song is Nonstop. And it's all about he goes, goes, goes. He keeps working because he feels like he has nothing to lose. There's no name to protect. There's no wealth from the family. He's got to create everything on his own. And then you see the other main character in Hamilton, who's Aaron Burr. And his character defining song is called Wait For It. And if you look at his story, he comes from family. He comes from an established name, established wealth. And so everything he does is calculated. It's maybe overthinking, and he's like waiting in the wings for his moment, and it's very cautious. And he'll look at Hamilton and be like, why can't I execute? Why can't I, move forward? And I think about the Wait For It and how Aaron Burr operated as if he had everything to lose. And so therefore he would be so cautious. And I was sharing how, I definitely found myself in both characters. There are times in my journey in the very beginning where, because I'm first generation, my mom is from Panama, dad is from Jamaica, and came into this world and was like, all right, let's create, and really operated like I ain't got nothing to lose. Like, let's go, let's create every day. And then I saw myself in my journey channeling Aaron Burr, where it was like, wait for it. And I was like, wait. And I'd be like, what am I waiting for? What am I afraid of doing? What do I think? Why do I think I have everything to lose? So yeah, so I love that dichotomy of those characters, and I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah. So it sounds like, just to kind of dig into that point, it sounds like you're referring to kind of just some of the challenges of having a life where so many things have changed. I've seen you do your excellent presentation on Course from Scratch, and you talk about the before and after, the transformation in your own experience. And I understand that a little bit. We made a couple of dollars. We've done our thing, and I will. I know that you can't operate the same way when you're, maybe, let's say, here economically when you were here. And I remember when I was a kid, my father is a Vietnam veteran and a cop, so he's a strong man but super paranoid about everything. And he always says that when you have everything to lose, you got to be really careful about being in spaces with people who have nothing to lose. What do you think about that?
Oh, that's good. So it's so interesting. My dad actually was in the Navy, and then he was a deputy sheriff for 25 years. So we have that in common. And I definitely saw that in both of my parents. So I think he would operate as if, he was waiting for it. but also living his life. But my mom, she would be nonstop. Even today, I was in a text thread with her and sharing an idea with her. And I'm like, what if we write a book together? What if we do? She's like, let's do it. And she's learning voiceover, acting, like she's always doing something new. So I do agree with you. And I think that we have the opportunity to embody both. I think when we're thinking about I think about like IP, this concept of your intellectual property, but I also think about so for me, when I think about what I've created and channeling this nonstop, you have nothing to lose. I think about the fact that your intellectual property is your story. It's your ability to take your story and share it with others, whether that's with your kids, your family, or on a platform like this, right? When you're creating a product, when you're creating an online course. And when I think about your IP, it also stands for infinite potential, because we really have infinite possibilities because we are infinite beings. So I think what I try to channel every day is tapping into the infinite possibilities, which keeps me moving forward and relinquishing the self-doubt as much as possible to create what I'm here to create on this planet. And at the same time, when it comes to waiting for it, realizing I got access to people like Dr. Boyce, to people who are mentors, where they have provided a blueprint, where I when I put myself in proximity with those people, I don't have to operate like, okay, let's go, let's figure it out. Like I can actually lean on them and say, wait, let me take a moment and pause and see, well, what is a blueprint that's already been laid out before us? We have the Harriet Tubmans of our generation who have gone and have done the thing. Like they have figured out the way to freedom. They've lit the path. They've come back to show us the way, and to not ignore that, to realize like we have these leaders and they've done the work for us. They've done the creation. They're coming back, and we can build on that path, and we can bring even more others with us. So I think that's embodying both spirits, simultaneously every day in the work we do.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and you're right. You can there's a gift and a curse with both the Aaron Burr spirit and with the Hamilton spirit, right? That whole go for it, nothing to lose, go hard. That comes with that perhaps that naivete of youth where you haven't actually fallen on your face yet, and so you haven't really gone through some of the things that end up scaring us and making us a little more cautious later on. So that gives you the desire to take risk. I remember when I was younger, I took a lot more risks than maybe I would now. But there's a problem with that too, right? Sometimes you learn the hard way. And then on the other end, when you're talking about sort of, being sort of patiently approaching things and being cautious and careful, the benefit obviously is that, that's wisdom at play. Like, hey, just be patient. It's going to be okay. Figure it out. As opposed to, the downside of that, which is now you're not taking chances anymore. Now you're number one, and that woman or that guy in number 10, the spot number 10 spot that you're not paying attention to is going to come get you because you're not doing the things that made you great in the first place. Right.
Yes.
And almost like those artists when they make that first album and they just kill it. And then they get to the second or third album and it's like,
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I'm so glad you said that, because I remember reflecting one day and thinking about how I love embodying different identities. So I think that's something that has fascinated me across all the work I've done, is this concept of identity, this question of who are you? When you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have at the base, you've got to provide, right? You've got to figure out, how do I make money? How do I have shelter? And then you graduate to the belonging in the family. And then you graduate to that the tip of the pyramid, which is self-actualization. And that is the pursuit of the biggest question in life, which is, who are you? And I know that when I think about that who are you, it comes down to identity. And so one day I was channeling the identity of an artist. And I thought about how, if, you've got three different parts of your life, just like I would say an artist's life has three different things. And I got this actually from a friend, is like, you live 3 lifetimes in a life. So I thought about the artist's 3 lifetimes, and I thought about my lifetime, and I said, you know what? I think the first phase is discovering who you are. And I think that is the nonstop phase. When you are experimenting, you're trying, you haven't seen it before, you don't have the blueprint, you haven't put yourself in proximity with others who have done it yet. And I would say that is like the mixtape. So as an artist, your mixtape is when you're discovering yourself. You're borrowing from other people's beats. You're laying your own lyrics over it from your own life experiences to figure out what vibes for you. That's first phase. That's the mixtape. The second phase, after you discover who you are, and this is usually when we're in our youth and we're doing the like different clubs and organizations and trying things, then you get to creating who you are. And so when I look at my career, I know that was when I created Course from Scratch, and I tapped into my story and I said, okay, what is a product I can create that can serve the world? And so with the artist, the musician, that would be their first album, right? That would be like the big like platinum album, and that's when they link up with the label, right? So in our case, that's when I linked up with my mentors, and I was like, let me pay you this money, let me get into your mastermind, let me get into your program so you can help me have that best-selling, that platinum best-selling album. And I would say that's us creating ourselves. And then the third phase is remembering who you are. So after you've created yourself, you got to remember who you are. That's when you embody the past, present, and future self. You tap into the lessons of the past, the awareness of the present, and the promise of the future. So I think that final album, that's when the artist is realizing, okay, who am I? And now, how can I flip it on them? How can I do the Kanye where I do 808s and heartbreaks, where people are like, woo, I didn't see it. That's a totally different vibe, but it's still gonna sell because he's tapping into who he is, and he's not necessarily relying on like, oh, well, I didn't do it before, so I don't know. Nah, that's when you're going back to your core and who you are. So I absolutely channel that identity of an artist and musician, and channel that identity of, all right, discovering who I am, creating who I am, and now remembering who I am. So I definitely see that in play.
Wow. Well, everybody who just came in, I'm speaking with Danielle Leslie, the CEO and founder of Course from Scratch. And Danielle is going to honor us in the Black Business School by coming through and doing an amazing presentation to talk about Course from Scratch and how she was able to just really do an amazing job in the course creation game and help thousands of people by now. And so if you'd like to actually join, it's totally free. You can go to boycewatkins.com. I believe it's next Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't have the date in front of me, but if you go to boycewatkins.com, click right at the top, you can go ahead and sign up. And I can tell you, I'll jump into this. So Danielle, I've seen the way you present and the way you lay out your information and things like that, and I was super impressed with that. What do you think about just online course creation generally as an industry? It seems like it's just sort of boomed and exploded. I had my own experience. I was at Syracuse University, and I was like, you know what? There's got to be a better way to teach and connect to people other than charging them $70,000 a year to go to Syracuse. And so we did our thing in the Black Business School, and then I saw what you were doing. Tell us what your observation has been of that industry in terms of people really embracing the internet as a way for them to share their expertise and things like that.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So huge opportunity. I mean, I would say that is one industry that is recession proof. We are always looking to share our stories with others. So I'll say that we are still, what we're seeing is going back to, remembering who you are. If we think about where we came from, we learned from our peers, we learned from the elders in the group, and that's essentially what an online course is. I've seen people take their story, their life experiences, and we talk about the RES framework, where you tap into what are the results I've gotten in my life, what are the experiences I've overcome, the hardest times, and what are the skills I've acquired. That's the RES, and you tap into that, and it's called the RES method because it resonates with your audience. It resonates with the people who can learn it from you, and it commands respect in the market because you are the only person with your unique set of experiences, and people are looking for you to share it. And it also provides residual income. So to give you an example, one of our students, Alicia Price, is a great example. She looked at the fact that she had an upbringing in a single parent household. And then as a mom, she became a single mother, and she learned how to create a healthy co-parenting household for her family. What she did is she took her life experiences, she looked at the results, she had this happy, healthy home, an amazing kid, and then she looked at the skills that she actually acquired from her full-time job. So she worked at a nonprofit and she did mediation there. So she learned the communication skills and the mediation, and she applied that and created her own framework. So she's like, yo, I've done this. I want to help other single moms, single dads in households. I want to bring them together and teach them. So she codified her life experiences into a framework, a teachable framework that showed people step by step. Here's how you go from maybe not being in the best communication to creating an amazing co-parenting household. And when you look at that, most of our members in Course from Scratch are Black women, are part of the Black community, which I'm so proud to say. So you look at that one example of Alicia Price, and it's like she now is creating healthy, happy households all over for us. And it's going back to like just us tapping into our unique experiences and realizing there ain't nobody that looks like you. Like it is supply and demand. If you think about that principle, the lower the supply, the higher the demand. So you as an individual are only one of one. You are the only person with your unique results, experiences, and skills. And it's just up to you to tell that story. And then guess what? The demand for you is going to be so high when you tap into that, because they're going to say, I can only go to you for this one specific thing. And because there ain't that many, there's that, like, look, we're going to look to ourselves to teach that, because it's like, okay, that person is have my lived experience. Like we have, both of our dads have that similar background. It's like, I'm going to go to you because I'm like, when I look at Dr. Boyce, I see myself. When I hear him talk about family and values, I see myself. So the fact that we have this opportunity and we can open up our laptop, not even, you can do it from your phone now, but you can open that up. The fact that more of us have the ability to work from home or work on the in-between hours means we can actually turn our story into an online course and teach and reach people all over.
Well, I'll tell you what, I love that. And everybody who wants to join, by the way, if you go to boycewatkins.com, we're doing the event. It's totally free. And it's actually Saturday, July 2nd at 1 p.m. Eastern or 10 a.m. Pacific. And so if you go to boycewatkins.com, the link's right there at the top. You can see how great Danielle is. You see how dynamic she is and how awesome she is. And I can confirm behind the scenes, she's a great person. And I've so much respect for what you've done. So let me ask you about your background. One of the things I remember noticing was that you did something super smart back in the day. If I'm not mistaken, tell me if where I'm right and wrong here. It seems like you had a lot of experience with digital marketing, that you had worked with some really good people. You took the time to get that high level training, and I can tell you, yeah, I was a college professor all those years, and university stuff is important, but the stuff you learned, I mean, that's that secret sauce that creates millionaires. Right? University degrees create good employees. You did better than that. Talk about your background and the special kind of training you got that led you to be able to become as great as you are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right. I mean, I feel so blessed because we have a community now where we have other people in our community who have become millionaires because of their online courses, from just sharing their story and doing what we're talking about. And yeah, I was blessed to go to UC Berkeley. So I was in that world of online education over a decade ago, which is so wild. But I created my first course in 2011. But leading up to that, I had already been working at startups. My first job out of college, even when I was in college, one of my first jobs was writing an email newsletter. So I was doing copywriting in like 2008 and helping them raise money for the college. And then I moved on to doing ad sales. So I was actually helping people understand online marketing, understand how you can, sell space online and things like that. And then I had the opportunity to create and launch my own first course in 2011. And then I got to work at Udemy. And at the time, and still is, Udemy was, it was like the mecca of online courses. It's like the Amazon of online courses. And I was blessed to be there in the early days from 2012 to 2015. And I did work with a lot of the people now who are killing it. It's like they were there at that time. It was like the gold rush. And it was like the people who were the early adopters. They saw the promise of online education. So yeah, I worked with everyone from a singer, helping her realize that her gift was not just, teaching people singing, but helping them find their voice. And I think that's the most powerful thing to understand is it's yes, you're going to teach a skill like, singing, but really she was helping people find their voice. What that means is the underlying message was you are going to learn that everyone has the ability to uncover their voice and to use it powerfully. So when you learn to sing or to find your voice, you're not only going to find it in the song, but you're also going to find it when you're in a meeting. have that confidence to speak up, to know that my voice is just as powerful as everyone else's in the room. So when I was at Udemy, I got to work with really hundreds of instructors. It was my job to get on the phone with them, coach. I was on the phone coaching for hours every week, and helping them uncover what is your brand, what is your course topic, how can you turn your story into a framework, and then how to launch. And so I saw people with no online following make over $10,000 in 60 days following a simple framework. And it was really just leveraging who they are and the simple, like low-tech ways to get it launched in record time. So I had the blessing of like over a decade of experience, got to be on the ground every single day, like they talk about 10,000 hours. Now it's probably hundreds of thousands of hours of doing this. Yeah, it's really my life's work, and it's been so fun. And so that transitioned into, course from scratch eventually.
Wow. And everybody who just came in, I'm speaking with Miss Danielle Leslie, and Danielle's going to join us in the Black Business School on July 2nd. She's going to do a presentation called How to Launch a Profitable Online Course in 30 Days. And I encourage you guys to join. You can come for free. It's totally free. Just go to boycewatkins.com. I put the link up there for you guys to sign up. You just hit the link and you can come on in. And so, what's interesting, Danielle, is it's almost like our paths were somewhat similar, not quite the same. I would have loved to have been on the inside of Udemy. I mean, my gosh, they're so good at what they do. And I find that just, and it's common sense, but you think about it, it makes sense, right? I find that when you get those chances to be in spaces with people that are doing things at a high level, the things that were hard suddenly become easy. I went to New York to spend time with the people at Teachable, right? So I'm sitting there with Teachable with people like Terry
Ijeoma.
Ijeoma, thank you. I don't know the name. Yeah, and others, and it was like we're talking, and it's great to just bounce ideas off people who not only have a lot of skill and experience and success, but also people who know about their IP, their infinite potential. Like Terry's not scared to know how great Terry is, right? Terry has had that confirmed and validated. And that's different from, say, academia, where I knew some of the smartest people on the planet. I'm talking about get a PhD is not a game. If you're doing it at a legit university, they will literally torture you. And you know the stuff like the back of your hand. You know it at the highest levels. It's ridiculous. Like literally, these are the people who write the textbooks. They don't study them, they write them. And what's interesting, what I found was that unfortunately, the cult of academia created a lot of small-minded thinking, right? So you're brilliant, but you're thinking so small that you're doing a great job solving very tiny problems and doing very tiny things, and no one knows about it. Your impact is very tiny, but you dedicate your life to it. And I remember thinking something ain't right about this. I don't like this, So tell me about that in terms of just your experience of sort of being a part of this whole process of really transforming education. I'm going to throw out a premise, and I want you to tell me what you think about this. I think that young people in this day and age do just as well, or maybe even better, by joining, say, a mastermind like yours than they would by going, say, the traditional college route. I'm not anti-college at all. We got a son in college right now. But when I'm talking to him about the nuts and bolts of getting in a position to make some money, I'm pointing to people like you, because that professor can show you how to get that job, but he's not going to show you how to do what Danielle Leslie does. Can you kind of speak to the differential, in that whole thought process?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm so glad you yourself, when you were in the system, you saw the paradigm shift and you're like, wait a minute, there's a bigger potential for impact here. And it's so funny you brought up Terry. So she actually, the free class we're doing, she actually saw a class that I did. And this was a few years ago. And I remember I got to meet her in person at a conference, and she gave me a card and she said, Danielle, I took your class. I enrolled in Course from Scratch. I have made, at that time, she had made $250,000. And then she followed up with me. She said, I've made $1.3 million in the last year by following Course from Scratch. And she started as a school teacher. So she said, the thing I reflected on was I was an assistant vice principal at an elementary school before I launched my course. And I remember thinking the most impact I'm going to have is the students in this classroom and in this school. And when I launched my course, I'm reaching people all over the world. And so now she did Course from Scratch. She did our advanced program, Course Alchemy, and then she joined our mastermind. And so and now she's done over 40 million in sales from her online course. And so what she did is what I did too, which was I said, how can I put myself in proximity with, like you said, the people who have already done it? So what I always do is I know that there's a path, and I think of it as the 5 eyes. You start with inspiration. What moves you? So I would look out into the market and say, who are the people who are inspiring me, who are moving me, the life they're living, like what moves me? And I said, cool. Then I moved on to identity. Okay, who are you? Well, I'm someone who has this story and this is what's important to me. These are the values. And then I move on to income. So now what will I create? And I would lean on that mentor I found to say, okay, they created this. Now I can create this. And then with that, I invested in masterminds. So I would say that's a big part of my secret sauce. I'm a big believer in time travel. So I'm like, how can we embody the future us now? Quantum leaps are all about collapsing time. How can I take this time right now in the present and take this time in the future and fold it on itself? And the secret to that is aligning myself with people who have already done it. So I would find a mentor who was 10 steps ahead of me. They had already made, the 10 million a year from their online course. And I would pay, because I believe when you pay money, you pay attention. So I would pay to join their program, their online course, and I would learn from them. I would learn their blueprint. And that helped me create the income and the impact and the last level, which is becoming the icon. So the fact that like my name, Danielle Leslie, is synonymous with online courses, that was never like, I never thought that would happen, but that's really like when you follow the path and you put yourself in proximity and you're like, they've already done it. Let's get a part of their program and realize like there's power in that, especially when it's people who, again, you resonate with their spirit, you resonate with their values. So that's been really huge for me and a lot of other people in the community.
Wow. So everybody who's wondering who I'm speaking with, this is Miss Danielle Leslie. She's a beauty and a beast. As you can see, she is, in my view, arguably the best on the planet in terms of teaching others how to develop courses and things like that. And Danielle's going to bless us in the Black Business School. She's going to do actually a free presentation. I got the title in front of me, How to Launch a Profitable Online Course in 30 Days. So anybody out there that has ever thought about doing it, that has some experience, that has a story that can be turned into a paradigm, or you're interested in learning how to teach online, Danielle's your person. And also, of course, you hang out with us in the Black Business School. I'll share some things. I've learned a few things about, in terms of, online teaching, but I like Danielle's approach because she's so good at what she does. And I'm really happy that we're partnering with her. So Danielle, before I let you go, I know you got a crazy schedule and you're moving and shaking and everything. Tell us, so on July 2nd, in that event, and by the way, everybody, if you go to boycewatkins.com, the link is right there at the top. That's where you can sign up. My website's on the screen, so go to boycewatkins.com and sign up. So on July 2nd, what can people expect to learn that day?
Absolutely. So what we do on the class, like I want all of us, like now and leading up to the class, we really talk about embodying the future you now. So how can you show up as your future self? My goal is for you to really tap into your IP, your intellectual property, which is your story, and the infinite possibilities that come when you do that. So on the class, you're going to learn my framework on, first of all, how do you identify your story? I want to show you that your story is gold. So we are all alchemists. We have the power to create anything with our word. And I'll show you how to turn your story into a teachable framework. And then we're also going to talk about how you can then reach the audience that is most suited to learn from you. And we call them your MVPs, your most valuable payers. These are the people who are going to pay attention, time, and money to you. All right, the ATM, that's the key. So we're going to talk about how to identify your most valuable payers who are going to help you tap into that ATM, your attention, time, and money. And then we're going to talk about how to actually launch it pre-sell it, and be able to generate over $10,000 in those first 30 days. So that's just a high level of what we're going to do. But I want you to like bring the energy. I interact live. I'll be shouting you out in the chat. We're going to have you share your goals. So you'll get to also vibe with other people who are on and see what they dream is possible for themselves. And you'll also hear a lot of case studies. I think I probably have maybe like 20 different case studies in there, because I want you to see that you can really create a course on anything, because the key is in your story, and I'll help you define what that is.
Well, I love that a lot. And, I'll tell you what I learned, just in my journey, was the power of storytelling. When you look at books like the Story Brand book, I can't remember the author, but yeah, just, storytelling is very powerful, very important. And also I believe that, just generally speaking, when you look at just the tragedy of things like student loans, and we want to learn something new, so we go back to school and we go in debt and all this other stuff, and kind of leaving that behind. I love the whole online learning space, because I think we're at a point where most of the time when you want to learn something, there's somebody online that can teach that to you. And then also, for those of you that want to actually become the teacher yourselves, don't sell yourself short. Like, you can do this. And I would start by listening to what Danielle has to say. So boycewatkins.com is where you can go. The link is right there at the top. It's going to be July 2nd, and I look forward to seeing everybody there. It's totally free for everybody watching. You can join us, and I want to say thank you, Danielle, for hanging out with us today. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I think this is maybe our second or third conversation, but each time I walk away and I say, I like talking to her.
Same. I know. Absolutely. Next time you're in New York, holla at me. Yeah.
I sure will. I cannot wait. And it is absolutely a blessing. So so we're going to talk a little bit more tomorrow as well. And so I look forward to that. And thank you, Jessica Parker, who's in the background, for bringing us together. She's the one that made that whole connection. And when she reached out to me about meeting with you, I said, yes, Danielle. She's a celebrity. I better make sure I dress up for that. Well, everybody, thank you all for watching. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, join us July 2nd. The link is at boycewatkins.com, right there at the top. You can join us, and Danielle will break it all down for you, and I guarantee you will have a wonderful experience. I've sat through it before myself, and she's the best at what she does. So God bless you, everybody. Have a great day, and we will see you soon. Take care now. All right.